Learning Korean culture, embodied visuality. Our goals are to introduce embodied approaches to visual learning, showing how embodied visuality can help people learn Korean culture.
We start with a schematic history of embodiment, which shows how the views of educationalists like Dewey evolved from Aristotelian, Confucian, and other classic traditions. Dewey spent time in China, and his predecessors in American Transcendentalism read Asian texts. Unsurprisingly then, American and Asian outlooks jointly advance the principle that things and their properties and even agents are interdependent. Dewey also held our contact with the world always mobilizes multiple faculties. For example, we perceive and cognize ice as emotionally safe or threatening, as walkable or not.
Likewise, seeing a candle flame as such is more than registering a yellow smear. It means seeing warm waxiness and emotional resonance and more. So, seeing always involves more than just seeing, which has implications on learning. This explains why images on smartphones can match the intensity of cinema. We can engage with mobile devices with our hands, rotating or adjusting image sizes with our fingers. Embodied visualizations facilitates even highly cognitive learning.
This is illustrated by teaching Korean script through symbols reflecting things we do, for example, skiing or hefting buckets, or in terms of what viscerally affects us, for example, rattlesnakes.
An aspect of Korean culture that interests us is uri, a word indicating that social existence or we-self precedes individual psychological existence. Merleau-Ponty and Dewey likewise defend this claim, as does the psychologist Colin Trevethan, who is influenced by process philosophy, all of them asserting that infants' minds are scaffolded by their caregivers' gaze, movements, and voices.
Koreans think that this continues throughout life, a view oriented by Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, and local shamanistic understandings that stress the primacy of interrelations, whether social, metaphysical, or epistemological.
Uri highlights that importantly, human practices like talking, cooking, religion, and technological know-how are fundamentally social.
The Korean concept also captures the East Asian sense that the self is formed out of layers comprised of family, friends, and the socio-political community, and if we strip all this away, there's nothing left. Uri can be difficult to verbally convey to Westerners who do not live Korean culture. One reason, according to Merleau-Ponty, is that primary experience, like the practical know-how of using a hammer, arises through bodily comportment. This primary experience cannot readily be communicated by conventional abstract means such as language, even though primary experience underlies abstraction.
With Merleau-Ponty's challenge in mind, we suggest embodied visual methods for teaching Uri. Patrick Nalepka's experiments reinforce the idea. Nalepka's team, which is influenced by pragmatism and phenomenology, had pairs of participants engage in sheep herding tasks.
This could be through an embodied visual interface using VR setups that require the movement of people's entire bodies.
Or through something like an air hockey paddle.
By this means, participants controlled cursors, in other words the herders, with the aim of repelling dots, in other words the sheep, keeping them inside a circle. Talking was not allowed, and most started by acting individually, an approach that fails. Rapidly, however, they went on to synchronize with their partners, this tactic being effective for keeping the sheep penned.
Nalepka has more recently discussed speculative evidence that joint activity can be expressed in terms of what's called pink noise, which mathematically characterizes self-organizing systems.
This suggests that people and groups can integrate to form a larger self in line with the concept of Uri.
This brings us to our own interactive visual and audio exercise intended to teach Uri something about embodiment. Through rhythms of light and electronic music set up to respond to audience feedback such as dancing, we can teach the basic lesson that the body is a synergic system that achieves greater unity by coordinating around environmental contours.
Insofar as each individual synchronizes into self-feeding rhythms of light and music, the experience can instill a sense of communal consciousness or shared experience.
While Uri is a primary experience for Koreans, it's typically foreign to Westerners. Broadly, we hope that our interactive visual and audio event opens a sense of Korean oneness to Westerners. Thank you.